What if tomorrow never came? Would you be sad? Would you be happy? Maybe you would be indifferent. I feel like so much has happened in my life since my last video, though I honestly can't remember large portions of it. And that's because of quarantine, but to be honest, I feel that the particular anime I'm going to be talking about today embodies how I felt throughout quarantine. And I'd imagine it will echo how some of you have felt. 49% looking back, 51% looking forward. I find that I haven't had many physical challenges to overcome recently. I feel that if I were to work out and get into shape, I wouldn't necessarily struggle in competing with others on a physical level. It's the simple act of starting that has me in a bind. And not to say that physical challenges don't exist, but quarantine has brought about an emergence of mental struggles. Self-deprecation, emotional baggage, the things we've done or said, and so on and so forth. And thus we find ourselves often looking back to our past memories, of both the fond ones and the painful ones alike. A few months ago, a friend of mine stopped talking to me, and I tried to contact them before resigning myself to the fact that the friendship was most likely over. Fast forward to the recent past, when I saw them again at a hangout via the internet, where I finally learned why our friendship had broken down to begin with. And all I was left with after our conversation was this profound sense of regret. I made a mistake, and even though we both hashed our differences and regrets, I know for a fact that our friendship will almost certainly never be the same again. It probably is over for good. I went back to look at a number of pictures. A lot of the pictures we had together had a lot of our mutual friends, too. Of conversations long forgotten about, of memories that gave us smiles, of moments frozen in time. Moments that will never exactly be replicated again, even if the participants gathered together to recreate those moments. And that brought me to this sense of profound melancholy. How many moments have passed? How many memories have vanished? Seeing Yesterday for me is a manga that was serialized in 1997 and finally finished in 2015. An anime adaptation came out earlier this year, and I think it would have fallen through the cracks if not for quarantine. COVID-19 has thrown a lot of plans into disarray, and the anime industry is no different. Thus, a couple series were postponed in production and release. Enter Seeing Yesterday for me. During those 18 years between 1997 and 2015, the world has changed dramatically. I can still remember the days of dial-up internet, floppy disks, and Windows 98. So much has changed since then. Technology, styles of media, fashion. Life seems so much more complex than it once did. Yet this series from the past still hits on emotions and struggles that are still very relevant today. I was only a baby when this particular decade of the 90s was coming to a close, so I suppose I'll never be able to grasp the culture of the era. But in watching this series, it fills me with this profound sense of nostalgia, much like 5 centimeters per second did. Riku is the character in the show that we often follow the most, and he is a unique protagonist. At the start of the story, he has just recently graduated college. Events leading up to that point usually dictate that one is looking for jobs or what their future might hold. But for Riku, he's at a crossroads where he continues to operate by moving forward as little as possible in all facets, whether that is in his career or his relationships. That is, of course, until he meets Haru. Nonaka Haru is easily the most distinguished character, with a vivacious spirit for life. She is a younger character who goes where the wind takes her, or so it would seem. She is easily the most proactive character amongst the 4 main characters, making a consistent effort to pursue Riku whenever possible. And even though she doesn't seem to have the brightest future ahead of her, as she is a high school dropout that works in a cafe as a waitress, Haru never seems particularly concerned with that. She seems blissful and full of positivity, even as Riku denies her advances. Riku himself eventually begins to take steps to where he wants to go in terms of his career, but it is only to lessen the pressure on himself regarding his relationship prospects, and as a means to build confidence in himself. Riku consistently self-deprecates, calling himself a deadbeat graduate at the beginning of the series. But he too, over the course of the show, is changing, even if the speed of his growth drives me crazy. And like most people, Riku's relationships with the different people in his life depends on how he views them. He treats his coworker at the convenience store far differently than he does Haru, or his collegiate crush, Shinako. Shinako attended university with Riku, and he's liked her for a long time. But in the way in which he treats her is far different than how he treats Haru. Shinako herself moved away after graduation, but returned to be a teacher at a nearby high school. And because they live so closely together, they end up seeing each other during the series. When it comes to Shinako, Riku is extremely nervous, unbalanced, and unsure of himself. On the other hand, Riku tends to be more reluctant, irritated, and snarky with Haru. The relationship between Riku and Shinako is stuck in a bind, because neither of them, especially Riku, can be more assertive. And as is seen in the series, Shinako struggles to get over a man who she once romantically idealized. Thus, she sees him in other men in her life, and that blocks her from moving forward. Shinako is easily the most wishy-washy character in the series, and she is a frustrating character. A fear of asserting herself, of impacting others with her decisions, and the constant reminder that time is steadily moving forward lingers in the back of her head. Except it seems to me moving on without her. There is one more main character, but I'll leave him out of this video since his background is so connected to Shinako's. Rest assured, however, that he too struggles with the same things as the other main characters. It just comes through a different outlet. What I like about this series is the realistic portrayal of these relationships. It is based around character dynamics, differing personalities, and the flaws and struggles that they each have, rather than some of the common romance tropes. And even though sometimes I found myself facepalming and growing rather irritated with a number of their decisions, I immediately fall back to my own life, and my own past experiences cause me to be more sympathetic. I want to see them all move forward because time is moving forward, and I myself want to move forward along with time. I don't want to be left behind. For Riku and Haru, there's a part in the series where they are both confronted by people from their past, each crossing paths with their respective acquaintances. And like these people from their past, both Riku and Haru have changed as well, in minute ways. Another sunrise, and another sunset, another full moon passing by, the leaves changing colors again and falling to the ground, the stars shining above on a cloudless night. None of these events have the exact same circumstances as the previous one, even if they are the same or have similarities. And these chances, these events, aren't ever guaranteed to happen again. Riku and Shinako's relationship is the most frustrating to me, but I think I feel so frustrated at the characters because of my own inactivity during this period of quarantine. My memories in quarantine are somewhat blurred. I remember certain events and feelings over these past few months, but I found and still find myself wishing that I had been more productive with that time, that I had done more. I feel like I've been in a cycle, much like the characters in this show. 49% looking back, 51% looking forward. Like time is stagnant. And even while I feel like I'm growing a little bit every day, like finally finishing this video essay, sometimes I feel like the world is passing me by. My brother has been living with me, but sometimes I still have a profound sense of being alone. Like time has stopped for me only. A lot of people I knew in high school and college are engaged or married, and it makes me wonder where all the time went. It makes me long for the past. Of high school and college, when meeting new people, hanging out with my friends, and discovering new things was routine. It makes me wonder if I'm making any progress at all, or if I'll have a chance to recoup this time that I've seemingly squandered. All of those invitations I declined, all of those people I failed to pursue, all of those friendships I failed to maintain. That maybe time's finally decided to move on without me. And though not only limited to this period of quarantine, I think it is a relevant fear for many people. Of being left behind. Of hearkening back to happier times and memories. Of wondering where all the time went. I watched Sing yesterday for me because it is a show about progress. Even if it's slow, often stunted, and sometimes filled with inactivity, the characters are still making progress in their own little ways. Just like life. People come and go out of our lives, but the impact they have on us can't be understated. And I don't know who Riku will end up choosing, but whomever is not chosen, they too will have to move forward, even if it hurts. There's this hope that I have, that perhaps one day we can all move forward and grow. That perhaps one day we can all sing both yesterday and tomorrow with a smile.